My name's Miranda Carter, and I currently own Bulls on Parade here in Jacksonville, Florida. I have Bull Terriers, standard size, and I show them and sometimes breed. I just really like their personality, their characteristics, and most of all, their looks. I think we all have to like the way a dog looks in order to really fall in love with them. Otherwise, we're just, I don't know what you're doing. Um, so I got my first bull terrier almost 6 years ago. And, there's always that unicorn dog that everybody wished they could have. And she was that one as far as her personality, very laid back. If she would have been like some of the other ones that I currently have right now, I might not have gotten a second one or kept one from her litter, but she's very easygoing, sweet girl, very independent, and she only wanted, love and affection when she wanted it. So that was nice. Now all of my other girls, they just want to be right on top of me constantly all the time. Mom, where you going? Mom, what you doing? So I noticed that on Facebook when I was thinking about breeding and when I had gotten my puppy, that a lot of new puppy owners in the Bull Terriers don't really know what they're getting their self into. And I wanted to give them something more, and an experience of buying a purebred dog from someone who really truly cares. So that's really what drove my passion. I didn't at the time know anything about dog showing. All I knew was people go in a ring and circle their dog around it, and they get picked to win or they don't get picked to win, and that's basically it. But it's so much more to that. So I raised a litter too and kept one from each litter, and that's where I got my solid black brindle girl. And I wanted to learn how to show, so I basically just showed up there, showed up at a dog show, went in the ring, lost horribly because she wasn't show quality and she lacks bone and substance. But you know what? I kept going. And now I have some amazing dogs from amazing breeders, one here in the United States in Arkansas with Glenton Bull Terriers. And I imported my first puppy from Bullpack Kennels in Hungary. And those two girls are amazing. And I just finished my very own bred by bitch, Rose. So she's finished now, my very first champion. But I just kind of dive deep into everything that I get into, kind of go down the rabbit hole. So it's like, oh, I'm going to breed. Well, let me learn everything I can about that. And now I'm going to raise puppies. So now I need to learn everything I can about that. And you never really learn everything you can, but you can try. So that was things that, kind of drive me in what I'm doing right now, is to be good at what I do. And to be good at what you do, you have to enjoy it. And I enjoy raising puppies. I enjoy sending a very well balanced, well socialized puppy to a forever home with lifetime breeder support. I help do training with my puppy families. I kennel them, puppy sit them. I'll actually have one in July and enter him in his very first show. But to me, that's what part of being a good breeder is to be responsible for those puppies that we are producing for their life. I'm not saying you got to pay their vet bills and stuff like that, but at the minimum, we as breeders should be there for families when they need someone to turn to. And how are we going to be there for them if we don't know what the heck we're doing?
What kind of dogs did you have before bull terriers?
So the American Pit Bull Terrier was my very first love. That was my dog. And I had Pit Bull Terriers and Australian cattle dogs and a miniature Schnauzer and an Old English Bulldog, and I've had all kind of different breeds. Hey, 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 hey! Quit digging. And I just love dogs. Like, they're always so excited to see you. It don't matter what kind of bad day you have. They always love you. They don't care what you got, how much money you have in the bank. Most of the time, they don't even really care if you walk them that day or not. Just spend time with them, you know? And I just love a dog. I love the way they look, the way they move, what they do, how they work, how they use their brain, how they communicate with us through their body language. Just is very intriguing to me. So there's nothing like a good dog or a bad one.
So, from the American Pit Bull Terrier, what drew you to the Bull Terrier? Is it just because they're similar in a lot of ways and they have kind of the same lineage?
Well, they're not very similar. I have found, and almost everybody else can tell you, that a pit bull aims to please you. They will work themselves crazy trying to please you. You know, they want their owner's approval. They want to know that, you know, they're doing the right thing. A bull terrier, excuse my language, they don't give a shit if they're going to please you or not. They are going to do what they want to do. And that personality trait, I just kind of really understand because I'm kind of the same way. You know, if it makes me happy, I'm doing it. I'm about that instant self gratification myself. So I really get it. So it's fun to train with them from early young age and watch them grow and start to learn new things. But for the most part, yeah, they're all about themselves. They're like, they don't call them clowns in toddler suits or dogs in toddler suits for no reason. Like, they stand by it. I had a guy that got a puppy from me, and you know, he told me, oh, I've had all kind of bully breeds my entire life. I've had multiple. And I'm like, well, I understand that, but you don't really understand that this breed is not for everyone, and they are very hard to deal with until they're about 2 years old. Oh no, I got it. I got it. Well, about 3 months in, he called me and he was like, girl, let me tell you, I thought I knew everything. I thought I was ready, but you were right. They ain't nothing like everything that I've ever had. And they're really, really not. They are so different than any pit bull that I owned, any Australian cattle dog. That's what my stepdad raised. Um, they're they're just very particular and fun. But if you can get past the first 2 years and you train with them, because a trained bull terrier is so much easier to deal with and even to live with than one, you know, that's not. So most people from what, you know, in the crazy world of bull terriers, of the people that I know, they don't really have other breeds. You know, definitely the look of them is much different. The look, they something about that curved head. You know, once you when you see one, you're like, whoa, that dog looks really weird. You know, and I felt that way for a long time when we got our first little puppy walking around with this head, and I'm like, she looks like an anteater. And but now it's like, wow, all those dogs look weird.
Yeah, for sure.
And those heads are a powerful, dangerous thing because they throw them things around. I had one puppy uh, snatch his head up and break his mother's orbital socket.
Oh yeah.
Another one's got 8 stitches in his cheek from a headbutt. So they're very dangerous. Bull terrier people are very quick with their hands and blocking and moving.
Right. So with your initial experiences in the show ring, can you talk about what that was like and what the reception that you got and um, just your overall experiences and to up to present day? How has that been?
It's been fairly well. I think that being new to the breed, when you start going to shows and you meet a lot of the people that are in the breed club, and have been there for 30, 40 years, it's like you kind of feel like they just don't really want to give you, the time of day because they've seen so many new people come and go and say that they're dedicated and say that they want to do things and then they don't, and they just fall off. So I imagine being in a breed club for 40 years, you're going to run into and get tired of giving your time and your information and your knowledge to new people for them to just disappear or, fall off. For me, like I said, I took my first kept puppy off of a litter that I kept, and I only kept her because she's a solid black brindle. Well, solid black brindles are very hard to show because you really can't see them in a lineup of, brindle and red and white dogs. They just look like a shadow. And I never really understood until I watched, some bull terriers at a show, and there was one solid on the far left, the first dog in line in the ring, and I'm like, wow, you really can't see them. So it's very hard to see, their movement because they're just black. But being dedicated and being crazy like I am, I went to every show I could with that girl. I took her in the ring, and let me tell you, she was one of the best, well trained show dogs who love it in that ring. It like she won every time. Um, but just going and showing up and being there and hey, I'm here, this is my dog. Yeah, and look how great she shows herself. Like I've been told, oh my God, I thought I was gonna lose to her because she just shows so well. Like I'm like, I know if performance wasn't part of winning for our breed, like maybe she would win. But people have been very, very receptive because they see the hard work that I'm putting in. And it's not something that just comes easily. Everybody's not just going, to accept us as being new people. You have to put that work in. You have to show that you want to do, the right things. We just went to a huge specialty show. I drove 18 hours to Azle, Texas. I didn't win crap. My one girl freaked out in the ring. She tried to leave. She's been doing that inside dog shows, and I don't quite know how to get her over her fear of being in a building or what really the issue is. And then my other girl, she's 9 months old, and I can have her on a leash and I can gate her everywhere. But at that dog show, she would not. She was jumping and hopping and biting the leash, and oh my God. But that's part of it. Again, bull terriers do what they want when they want, and you need them to do it. So it's for me, everybody's been very at first. Everybody is standoffish because they don't know who you are, but I'm the person that I like to go up and introduce myself and talk to people and ask questions and just kind of get to know people and, learn, because how else are we supposed to preserve a wonderful breed that so many people have dedicated their entire if we don't try to learn how they're doing it? How are you having these lines that are winning and performing well? And, what can we do as a preservation breeder to continue doing that? Anybody can take two dogs and breed them and have puppies and sell them. There's a science behind putting the right two dogs together to get the right look that you're going for, and then line breeding that dog. And that's where I'm at. I'm trying to learn. I've only had, like I said, 3 litters. I'm near a very well educated, long time breeder. I have a lot to learn. And I think as a new breeder, keeping ourselves humble and saying, no, we don't know. That's why respect the people who's been around a long time, and you'll eventually gain and earn their respect as well.
For sure. Is there, I've talked to, several people in the show world. It seems like there's a little bit of a disadvantage for the owner handler compared to, being able to afford to campaign a dog. Is that sometimes frustrating for people in your shoes, or is it just part of life and you enjoy the process no matter what?
Hey, let me tell you this. I put every point on my champion girl. Every point. I am the only one, besides a very few times, and I just wanted to see what she looked like in the ring, that somebody else has handled my champion. Nobody else has handled my other two, which my one is just a puppy. It was just her second show this past weekend. I feel more proud and gratification from getting out there doing the work. Again, I'm a stay at home mom. I have older children. I have a supportive, keeps the dogs alive. Barely. No, I'm kidding. Keeps the dogs alive when I'm going to shows. And my children, they can get themselves up and get my friend who lives down the road takes them to school. So I'm able to do that. Not every mom can leave their house. Their husbands can't make their schedules work, or they don't have anybody that can support them while taking their kids to school, or maybe they don't have the funds. um I know why people use professional handlers. They go to show after show after show after show. They can champion and finish a dog way faster than an owner handler who has to pick shows, or isn't living out of an RV traveling to all of these shows. So I totally get it. For me, I feel more pride putting every point on my dog and championing that dog myself. So it's not frustrating to me at all. What is can be a little frustrating is going into the group. We do have all of these professionals who maybe know how to hide a flaw or show a dog a little bit better, that has flaws and can cover them up, and they're winning. And you're like, oh my god, why did that dog win, or whatever. I think also something that's frustrating for me is anytime I stay in watch groups, whether I'm in it or not, you're in the terrier lineup for group, and every tiny little dog gets picked. You know what I mean? I don't think the bull breeds get enough attention in a group. I've seen it happen, but it's just like all these tiny little dogs are always picked, and I'm just like, what? That's a almost perfect Staffordshire Terrier. That, a beautiful mini Bull Terrier. So that's what's frustrating to me is like, why all the little dogs all the time, But I mean, if that's the better dog and they're more correct, then obviously they definitely deserve to win. But I'm just a bully lover and would like to see them win a little bit more in the group. But I love owner handler groups. You're in there with more people like you who are just out there trying to have fun and show their dog and do the same thing that you are doing. And either way, they're both well worth the stay for the end of the show and the experience. It was a long time before I ever went in a group ring. Like my girls didn't win. They're like, nope, we didn't win enough to go in groups. So when I did, it's like a really big deal and it's a lot of fun and it's very long. And my girls are like, wait, we're still in here? Like, we're just used to being in here so quick because where I live, Florida, a lot of people show their bull terriers. To get a major, we're like calling everybody we can. Hey, come in or your dog. Hey, you want to come to Florida for a show? And it's I wish more people with bull terriers in the state of Florida would get interested in doing dog sports and see what the confirmation ring is about. Is if you want to breed like that. I didn't even know when I first started that the confirmation ring was literally an evaluation of your breeding stock to make sure that you're breeding the best dogs possible. And I just think that it's super important for breeders to do that evaluation of your breeding stock. Make sure that you are breeding the best that you can, learn about your health testing, breed specific health testing, and do them. Learn about your breed standard and breed towards it. It's not that hard. Well, sometimes it is hard for a breed standard because I didn't even know what one was or how to read one and can't really find a lot of websites or whatever that break down the language in a breed standard. I'm like, what is a low down, well let down hock or, a well laid back shoulder? Like, what does that even mean? So I have to go buy all these different books, look up all these different things just to try to piece it together. It's crazy.
Well, I admire that well, it shows that you got a passion for it, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. That's really cool. So, talk about the standard, the official standard, and what is within that standard. What is winning today, and what seems to be the guiding force behind those bull terriers that are winning.
Well, we're a head breed, so you got to have the head. But you have to look at the dog as a whole. If you've got, a dog with an almost perfect body that moves very well, but is a little bit weak in the head, it just really, let me tell you, you never know what a judge is going to pick. I do know that in the world of the BTCA, they're talking about they're revising our standard a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to understand and it goes a little bit more in depth. But we have the Dalmatian style terrier, the bulldog style bull terrier, and the terrier style bull terrier. And the perfect dog is a combination of all three. It's middle of the road. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that if you're brand new and starting out? Like it takes a while. And I still can't even point out every different look at a dog and say, oh, yeah, that's a Dalmatian style. Oh, yeah, that bull terrier there is more bulldog style. I have been told multiple times that my girl Rose is terrier style. And I have Pepper, who I feel is a good combination of all three. And then I have my young puppy, Belle, who to me is more bulldog style than anything else. So I get to see it, you know, as they grow, the difference in them, and having three out of the four, it's getting a little bit easier to pick up on which one, is which. Um, Dogs that are winning in the ring right now, there's some gorgeous ones. There is some gorgeous ones. I know a couple. It was a lot of the big, powerful, strong dogs. Um, and we have been told that maybe our dogs are getting a little too big and powerful. Like their bull terriers should not be these 80, 90, 100-pound dogs. It's a terrier dog that should be able to do work. And so they have encouraged breeders to be mindful of breeding too big. So where you have some judges that love the big, strong, powerful dogs. I do. I like big, strong dogs. But you still have about the same amount of judges who are picking the more smaller, compact dog that, they can both be correct. Our breed standards states the maximum substance in the space given. And if you can have a big one that is correct with maximum substance, but then you can have a smaller framed, dog that is also maximum substance within the space given. But it's just how whatever a judge feels on that day, basically. So my stud dog that I used for my last litter, he is on the smaller side. He's about 52 pounds. He's not fully mature. But he's from Gorbane Kennels in the UK, and he's gorgeous. And he won big. He finished his championship this past week at a specialty show. And his owner, she was not expecting that because he is smaller, but he did it. So you just never really know what that judge feels like. Are our dogs too big? If one judge puts up a smaller dog, then ones will start following suit. Or, if judges set the tone for what we breed. If you have a big dog in the ring winning and they're getting picked and they're winning and winning, then people are going to want to use them, and then they're going to want to breed bigger because that's what's winning. So I just think you have to just do what's right for you, and I prefer the smaller ones. I love the look of a big, strong, powerful dog, but I am getting older, and taking one of them things, being as crazy as our bullies are around a ring, I got a 50-pound 9-month-old puppy whooping my butt in the ring right now.
So, what is your ideal dog, and what are you wanting to breed to create? As far as the perfect show dog in your eyes. So, I'm talking height, weight, structure, and headpiece, all of that. What kind of explain that to us?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I think it takes a while for a breeder to really create something that they're like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what I've been aiming for. I have this idea in my mind, and that's why I went into a co-own with a top breeder for a mentorship for a top quality dog for the guidance. And then that's why I also imported a bitch puppy from a guy overseas who has been phenomenal to me. And he has a stud dog that I love. I love that damn dog. That dog right there is basically my ideal bull terrier. I'm actually using his semen with my girl Rose coming up, and I'm hoping it's going to turn out. But Rose is a champion. I got her by luck. You know what I mean? Like, her pedigree is not something that I know what I'm going to get off of it. And that's why it's important to learn your pedigrees and stuff like that. So, with that being said, I hope to get something off of her and start building my bloodline from her. And then from my other two bitches to keep something off of them that's going to, that I can maybe event the two together somewhere down the line. And then I have, my generations to where I can start line breeding back into it. And hopefully by that point, I'll figure out what it is I'm going for. But right now, I'm just like living on a prayer. You know what I mean? Like, because when you have a dog and you don't know, and you just go buy a dog and you want to breed it and you don't know that dog's pedigree, and the breeders don't even really understand what that dog's pedigree is, you don't know what you're going to get. Genetics are a very funny thing. Like, Rose, I sold her and got her back 8 hours later because the people were bull terrier owners, but they did not understand how to introduce a puppy to their other two dogs who weren't very well socialized. So I ended up taking her back 8 hours later, and I took her to a show. I didn't enter her. I just took her and was like, hey, what do y'all think about my puppy? And it's full sister to my other girl, but different breedings, but the same mom and dad. And they were like, wow, I can't believe that's her sister. Like, they're completely different dogs. So I don't know if her puppies are going to come out more like her or more like her sister. I don't know. It's just something I got to see. And if there's not a really nice one in there, then I'm not going to keep one. But with the stud that I'm using, having such a tight line bred pedigree, I'm hoping that more of those qualities will be brought out into the puppies. And that's what I'm hoping for anyway. But I guess we'll see. I mean, you just never know. Breeding is like a lottery.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of variables there. And sometimes what I've noticed with my research, not firsthand experience, but my research, is that sometimes if a dog isn't necessarily going to be a winner in the ring, but could actually be great brood stock and really important to a breeding program. So you don't always want to get rid of those dogs that aren't going to win ribbons, but can produce dogs that do win ribbons,
And me sitting through multiple webinars and hearing people talk about that, temperament is key, number one. Then you got your confirmation. My solid girl that never really won, the only 2 points she ever got, my husband handled her in the ring, and he was just like, I'm just going to take her in there. And I'm like, okay, because we're trying to get points on Rose, And then he gets points with her. I'm like, what the hell? But I was told you shouldn't breed her. You should spay and rehome her. You should start all over. And I'm like, I love this dog. Not only that, she has an amazing temperament. She has trainability out the door. She is an amazing girl. She's got nice cat feet. She doesn't have the best head, and she lacks bone, but it's just something about her. I wanted to see what she would produce with a very nice stud dog that had a very tightly line bred. And I got 2 gorgeous, correct puppies out of her. Of course, she had to have a emergency C-section that almost killed her, and now she is spayed because that's what it took to save her life a whole lot of money later, she's still here, she's spayed. But I have two gorgeous male puppies from a nice dog with a great pedigree that hopefully one day I can help test them, put them in a show ring, and breed them back into my bitch line. That way, it's a piece of my girl who is essentially my heart dog, because I could never get, a bitch to keep off of her to carry that on. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of longtime breeders are like, well, you should just start, do your research and go buy you the best puppy that you can buy and get in that ring and win. Well, I do want to get in the ring and win, but see, I like doing things the hard way. I always have. It's like I got to learn the hard way in everything that I do. And I never intended on doing any of that before I was decided to breed. So I love my girls. I raised them right. I help test them. If I want to take the long road and breed that one to something nice and keep one and breed that one to something nice, then that's my process. I have the time. I'm not, hopefully not going anywhere anytime. But I think it's really hard for understand why people don't just want to go buy the best that you can buy, and go in that ring and win and start with the best. We don't all start out like a lot of people, not we all, but some people end up with a mediocre dog, but they have a passion and they want to learn and they want to, do better and create their own thing. And that's how it was for me. So, and I know a couple more people that are, now it's very hard to, when you have that dog, to expect other breeders to allow you to use their winning dog with your dog that's not, so I was told no, you can't breed my dog to her. She's not quality enough. And that's fine. That's anybody's right? They can do that. It's their dog. I'm sure when I have a really nice stud, there may be bitches out there that I'm like, I don't think that's a good match. But I do hope that I can keep an open mind in the future if I ever do get in that position to think if they're a good breeder, they're a good person, they want to do the right thing, and I'm going to compliment their bitch, and they'll help test their dogs and raise their puppies right and have a contract. And I would like to think right now that I would want to help them better their program, but I have very high standards for myself, for people that I want to work with in the future. And health is most important. I don't really see if there's, sorry, I'm about to go on a little tangent. So with my my first girl, that breeder told me, oh, all you got to do is a DNA test and you can breed her. When she's 2, breed her, do that DNA test. Oh, second heat, she wasn't even 2. So that's what I did, but I waited until she was almost 2 to breed her. Well, after that first litter, I started learning about these genetic hereditary heart disease and patella luxation and everything that I didn't even consider because that breeder didn't tell me, And I started learning about it, but I was like, she's fine. There's no sign. And so I bred her again. And then I was like, well, I really want to become a BTCA member, and the BTCA recommends health testing. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll breed her one last time, but I'm getting her health testing. I took her to go get her echocardiogram, and guess what? Aortic stenosis, failed her echo. I couldn't believe it. I was crushed. Thankfully, her first litter is over 3 years old, and none of them, have had any issues or anything like that. And 3 inches have passed echocardiograms and health testing. So hopefully I didn't, you know, sell a puppy to a family unknowingly that falls over dead by 6 years old or something because of something I did. But you don't know unless you know. And when you do know, all you can do is do better. So, going back to what I was saying, as long as a breeder is willing to help test, if I ever have a stud dog and can help someone, I'm going to. But there has to be a higher standard, Just breeding for breeding, our rescue population right now for bull terriers has really skyrocketed. The BTHCA rescue is overwhelmed, like Florida rescue is overwhelmed, the bull terrier rescue mission is overwhelmed. And they just keep coming in, and it's like, where are these puppies microchips at? Like, why aren't their breeders microchipping? So those are just things I'm really passionate about, and I don't want to help contribute to that. I've gotten 3 of my puppies back. One over the age of 2 years old, one 17 months old, one 13 months old, for various reasons. But however, that's why I have a contract. I will take my puppy back at any time, and I will rehome him. I will find, another good home. If you can't provide for him a healthy lifestyle, or you can't take care of him for whatever reason, or you're having issues for them, you give them back to me. I will deal with it, because I see what our rescues are going through. I see all these dogs that are just coming in or being found on the street. Like, I rescued one, and I had him for about 3 months, and he attacked one of my girls and bit my fingertip off. So he got rehomed quick. And I just don't want to be contributing to that. And I think as breeders, we all need to be aware of our rescue problem here, and don't overbreed, and don't mass produce that you can't take back or be accountable for.
Buying that unicorn dog and winning ribbons, to me, is just that isn't what the show world is to me. I know that's what it's become, and that's why I'm probably a little more skeptical than you are. But you're doing it in the way that seems to be a little more honest to the original purpose of the thing, of the event, of the sport, is to breed dogs, to showcase a breeding stock, maybe not just yours, but your mentors and all of that, and to really advance the breed and preserve the breed that way. And just buying a puppy from the supposed top breeder and going in and showing it, to me, that's like, okay, you're buying your bet, you're buying a winner. You're not really creating that winner, and you're not really showcasing that potential winner from a breeder that has put their blood, sweat, and tears into the program. And it just kind of like, it's not what the sport should be, in my opinion. So I really appreciate how you're doing it that way. And then your other point is uh, the health testing, and that's a really fascinating subject, because there's so much that we still have yet to learn about health testing and all of that sort of thing. But how important that is, especially in the bully world, because there has been such a we found so many issues with these breeds just because of maybe overproduction or lack of knowledge about what potential issues there may be. So you check the hearts, and what other issues that bull terriers suffer with that you have to be aware of?
Uh,
Do you OFA? Do you pin hip? The whole gamut.
so it's your echocardiogram to check, the aortic outflow velocity, the mitral valve, um, to make sure that there's no aortic stenosis or mitral valve disease. The kidneys by UPC, where you have their urine samples sent to a lab that spin it down to check the creatinine and protein, to make sure there's no crystals and to make sure the kidneys are functioning well. The patellas for the knees, for the patella luxation, is just a palpitation. And then the Bayer hearing test. I think I covered them all. And then you do your genetic testing for LAD. I like doing an Embark test that tests right now. I believe they test for 5 or 6 breed-specific genetic diseases. But then they also test for like 240 something else. What I didn't know at the time when I started using Embark is that just because they test for it doesn't mean that that's a marker for your specific breed. They just mean that that marker has been found in whatever breed that the variant is. So just doing that Embark, and because that's what I done on my first girl, was a wisdom panel, and I'm like, oh, she's great, heart disease, check, this clear. Well, guess what? That's not a genetic marker for your breed unless it specifically says bull terrier variant. Yeah. A lot of bull terrier breeders only test for the LAD, but then they can test for the LP, but LP was basically only in the mini bull terriers, but it's popping up more and more. And I know that because the stud dog that I use was an LP carrier. Well, my girl's clear, so it's not a big deal. But, if she were a carrier, but I never test for it, then I would have essentially created puppies that would inevitably have LP. And you're just never going to know unless you test for things, And like Gensol, I think you have to buy each test separately. So, and they only test for that, as where Embark is continually testing, multiple different things. And you can't find a genetic marker if people aren't testing for it. If you're only buying LAD genetic tests, then you're never going to find a variant because anything more than just that. So I feel it's super important. But then again, I mean, health testing is very important. But if we continue to more and more and more and more and more health tests, we're health testing every dang thing, then we're not going to have any breeding stock available, Like our gene pool will be so small. So that's where your education comes in, because just because you have a dog that may not, be great for health tested on this, always consult with like the heart thing, consult with a cardiologist and find out, is that dog okay to breed? And well, what should I look for? Or ask a breeder who's been breeding longer, or talk to your vet. Because like, I think 2.0 for the outflow velocity and the aortic valve is the cutoff. It's like, oh, your dog fails, or it's like a 2.1 or something. So if you have a dog that has an aortic outflow velocity of 2.1, it's not necessarily a pass, but it's not necessarily a fail. But what you want to do when you pick a stud for that dog, you want to make sure you get a dog that's heart aortic velocity is like much lower, much lower. That's what my cardiologist told me anyway. because my girl that's now spayed, hers was a 2.1. And I'm like, oh my God, and he's like, no, everything else is perfect. And I'm like, can I breed her? And he's like, yes, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so, I guess you just have to kind of like pick your battles and learn, like, what is it that you're willing to risk and what are you not willing to risk. But education is going to be your best bet. Learn everything you can about it and then make an educated decision that you can stand by. Because if you have a dog that people are like, oh no, it's a 2.1, you shouldn't breed her. And then you do the research like I did, and you talk to cardiologists like I did, and you choose to breed her, then you are standing firm in your decision. And that's something that you can be proud of, because as a breeder, we can only do the best that we can, and that's all that we can. And two dogs with perfect hearts can still create a dog that has a heart condition in the future. So, with that being said, we're just trying to up our chances of not producing a sick dog or, something like that. But nothing is ever a guarantee. It happens. And all we can do is do the best that we can and make the decisions that we feel comfortable standing by. And that's what I try to do.
Very cool. I agree 100%.
They added the Dalmatian to make the dog have a little bit better movement, elegance, a little bit more leg. And down the line, they added a Manchester Terrier, and that's where our black and tans come from.
Way to go. Yeah, see, I love that. Look at that. Not too overdone, but blocky.
Right. Well, my 9-month-old puppy has a fat head. Like, her head's going to be like a 3-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
Like, her face is just so full. I swear hers is more narrow, kind of snipey. And then my almost 2-year-old bitch, Pepper, her head's like breed standard perfect. The curve is beautiful. Like, it's a slow curve downward. She's very full. And Annabelle, hers is just like boom, wide.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful, strong, almost like a male head. It's ridiculous. Her head is so ridiculous. I think her head is bigger than my 2.5-year-old girl. Like, it's just insane, but I love it.
Talk about your experiences importing a puppy. What was that like, and what are some advices that you give to people that are thinking about doing that?
First advice would be build a relationship with a breeder overseas. Like, I talked to my breeder overseas for a year and a half before I got a puppy. Get to know them, ask questions, ask to see the move, see the bite, which when you buy a young puppy, especially in our breed, because of their heads turning, like, a bite is never guaranteed. My girl Cotton, her bite changed up until she was, I think I last noticed it about 18 months old was the last time that it changed. And it went from being a perfect scissor bite to a level bite to barely slightly undershot. I mean, just reverse scissor. Like, it was just very slightly. But I couldn't believe it kept growing and changing, and she was almost 2 years old. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And they're like, oh yeah, like, bites change. You can never guarantee a bite in our breed. And the more the head cranks down, the more likely you are to have an off bite. But so you ask a lot of people overseas, they're very friendly. They're very open to talking to you, to sending you all the information that you want. But They don't tell if you don't ask. So you have to really try to build a relationship with that person, get to know them, ask to see their, dog's health testing, ask if they do health testing. Um, and then pick you like, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Like, there knew for a long time that I eventually wanted to get either a stud puppy for future stud, or a little bitch puppy from him, but that I wanted a puppy that had, it can never be a guarantee when you want one that is going to, present themselves well and be correct enough to go into the ring. But he knew what I wanted. And when the right one came along, it was a year and a half, like, he was like, "Hey, I think I have the one for you." And so I fell in love with her, and he actually sent her brother and her together, and her brother is with my best friend. She's his co-owner. We co-own them together. So you just really have to, like, get to know that person and trust them. That's all I can say, because I've heard horror stories about people importing puppies. I actually was really planning on, in the future, before I got these puppies from them, I wanted to go over there. I wanted to visit some of the major bull terrier kennels over there where he's at. He's going to show me around, and I'm still going. Eventually, I'm still going. So he's become a really great part of my journey, someone I can count on, someone who has been, amazing to me. He has helped me learn so much about conformation and how to look at puppies, and learning how to see the angles on a dog and what's correct and what's not correct. Like, he tests me all the time, sends me screenshots of other dogs and says, draw the points of measure on this dog and what's wrong with it. You know what I mean? So he's really helped me further my knowledge. And I know that if I see something or have a question about something, I can ask him, and he answers, and he's happy to help me out with anything pretty much. And that's what you want when you're finding a breeder, whether it's importing a puppy or buying a puppy. Buyers need to be aware that you want to have a relationship for a breeder, especially if you're new to the breed. Like, why buy a puppy and then not have nobody to talk to when shit starts going wrong, right? You have your dog is doing this, or your puppy's doing that, and you don't know how to correct it. Who do you call? You should be able to call your breeder. That is very, very, very important. Your breeder is going to be the person with the knowledge. Turn to them. So, like I said, if it's importing a puppy or just buying one here, having that relationship, getting to know that person and what their program is actually like, that is important. The steps for importing, we paid a customs broker to do the paperwork. I took a 5.5 hour drive down to Miami, and picked up both of my little puppies. It was fairly easy. What I did have to wait for was the FCI paperwork. That took forever. But because I waited, he hadn't registered them yet. I got to pick their names. So I really liked that. So I was happy to wait. And then you really can't show until 6 months anyway. And I got her, I think she was like her and her brother were 4 months. So shortly after they were here, then we were able to, I picked the names, and we got them but he immediately sent them to me when he got them, because I didn't realize they have to get the FCI paperwork, but then you have to send off for the import paperwork, and I didn't know about all that. So I'm also learning about using imported semen, because
Yes, I was.
yeah, so I bought an AKC DNA kit for my puppy's father, because that's who I want to breed to my girl. I bought the AKC DNA kit. They sent it to my house. I opened it up, I activated it, and I mailed it to Mexico because, hey, you hush. I mailed it to Mexico because that's where the dog is right now. With one of his really good friends. Do you want to go outside? She won't stop. She's one of them barking dogs, man. She's like, Mom, there's nothing out there. I need to go bark at it.
Yeah.
So that's been 3 weeks ago, and he still hasn't gotten it. So now I'm freaking out, because it's like I'm supposed to get fresh chilled semen overnighted to me, and I can't even get a DNA kit in an envelope sent over there in a timely fashion.
And is that imperative through the AKC rules that you do that, or is that something that you?
Yes. If there's not, so this is not a genetic test. It's just a DNA profile for stud dogs from overseas. So they will not register any imported stud dog, imported semen, unless there is an AKC DNA file on record. So when I breed her to him using AI, before I can register that litter, it has to be an AKC DNA profile. So I sent that 3 weeks ago. She just had her first day of heat today. So I'm hoping he gets it pretty quick, or else I have to order another one and just have them ship it right to him. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why it has taken so long.
And this is Hungry?
The dog was actually sent to Mexico with his friend right now for breeding purposes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I can get it overnighted, the semen overnighted to me fresh, chilled. But if he's in Hungary, then I have to use frozen, and frozen is ridiculous. Like, I wasn't expecting it to cost that much money to use frozen semen. So,
could you tell me the price if you don't mind? I think
so with the frozen semen, you have to, most places they make you do either a TCI insemination or a surgical AI. And you're looking at about $800 for the AI, upwards of that, maybe give or take a little bit, depending on where you go. So there's only certain places that do frozen semen, and the closest 2 hours away. Well, they won't just let me bring my dog in for frozen semen AI. I have to take my dog to them to get an initial exam, and then I have to take her to them for progesterone testing, which she's going to need to go every day. I'm like, you don't need a progesterone test every day. And it was just very complicated, something I'm not willing to do. Not at this point in my life. I'm not saying that I'll never do it, but just at this time, I'm not willing to do that. And it just became too complicated and too pricey for my pockets right now. So I opted to go ahead and use him while he's in Mexico, because the breeder who has him over there, that he could overnight fresh chilled semen, which is much easier to inseminate than frozen.
would there be any advantages for you to dual register dogs, FCI and AKC, or is that not possible?
Um, well, so my one girl is dual registered, but I'm never gonna take one of my other girls and fly them over there. So there's really no
Yeah.
reason to dual register them FCI. However, I have been reached out to by a couple ABKC people who won shows, American Pit Bull Terriers, one who was a judge who was eventually planning on getting a puppy from me. And they asked me if I would be interested in registering with the ABKC or come into some of their shows. I've been wanting to do something different, just for a different atmosphere, different environment, for fun, for exposure for my girls.
Yeah.
And I've looked at UKC, CKC, ABKC, and there are barely any UKC shows that come near here. They're in like Illinois,
Yeah,
like way far away.
they're in my
Um,
area. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like, what the heck? So today, I actually registered my puppy, the imported one, for ABKC. So we're gonna go to so I think the Daytona show we're going to. There's one in Daytona in July.
Okay.
So I'll be there with her. My other girl, I was going to register her and take her, but then she started her season today.
Okay. Okay. Where do you see your program in 5 years?
5 years, like my program, hopefully I will by then have start producing something that I can possibly win Silverwood with. Like that's what I would like to do. Win Silverwood one day. Some puppy that I bred myself. Um I want to be doing a little bit more activity, like to do some barn hunt, especially my solid girl. Like she can find anything if I put it out in the yard to hide it. I have little fake, not fake, but real furs that I hide, and she'll go find them. Um, I just I like doing all kind of stuff with my dogs, like stuff, but getting more involved in sports. And still, in 5 years, I will still be breeding healthy puppies. It is never my goal to have more than 1 or 2 litters a year. I have a waiting list. I want to be able to fill that waiting list with quality puppies. I've had families wait over 2 years. Like I didn't have a litter until recently for over 2 years. And I had a lady wait on me. And I was like, I just don't think she's ready, or I'm not ready. I'm not sure, but we're just not doing it this time. And she's like, that's fine. You just take your time, because
Yeah.
it's an emotional roller when you put so much effort into doing something and you care about a dog so much that your biggest fear is for them to die. And that is a risk that
Mhm.
happens anytime you breed. Your dog could die.
Mhm.
And that wish almost came true. Like she started bleeding out after after that C-section. I was freaking out. And I thought, I'm never doing this again. I'm never doing this again. But I gained so much knowledge because I had to bottle feed her. She had 4 puppies. Me and my daughter bottle fed her puppies. And I mean, it's sad. And maybe people will be, oh my God, Miranda, you should have never said that. But I lost 2 puppies when they were 13 days old because they got aspiration pneumonia. I never had to 100% bottle feed puppies before. And I thought I was doing everything right. My daughter thought she was doing everything right, but they had aspiration pneumonia and I didn't know. And I woke up one morning, one was dying, then I take him to the emergency vet. He gets humanely euthanized. I come home, another one's dying. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know, that was a huge learning thing for me. And I think all too often some people go into this, oh, I'm going to breed a litter and that mama dog's going to do it all and everything's going to be fine. And you just can happen. Like, you better be prepared. That's all I can say. You better have some money put up in the bank, or like I have health insurance, Trupanion on my dogs. So they have breeders underwritten thing on the Trupanion in the state of Florida that automatically comes with it. So any complications with whelping or after whelping, complications, emergency C-section, any complication, mastitis, anything like that, Trupanion covers. So it was nice to have a $13,000 bill and to only have to pay $2,000, you know. But not everybody thinks about that, and then they end up losing their dog in an entire litter of puppies. Like, breeding is not for the faint of heart. Like, it takes an emotional toll. We put our literal tears into this, you know. I don't think I ever experienced like that in my life, and I've been through a lot of hurt, but that right there just about got me. I'm holding my dog on the way to the ER vet. Her body temperature when we got there was 94 degrees and she's shallow breathing. And I tell my husband, she's not going to make it, you know, and by the grace of God, and those doctors took amazing, amazing care of her. And she is still here, you know, and I have two gorgeous puppies from her. So I think it's important for people to keep that situation in their mind when they decide to get into breeding. Bull terriers, I mean any dog whatsoever, but bull terrier mothers, they'll kill a baby. Like, they'll lay on that thing, you know, they don't care, they just plop down everywhere. Like, somebody is awake in my house 24/7. My puppies are in the living room up until they're 4 weeks old. 24/7, somebody's awake with them for the first 2 to 3 weeks, because I've seen so many stories about, oh, I lost two last night. The mama slept right on top of them. You know, I wish we could, as, oh, my dog's back there having her babies right now. I'll go check on her in a little while, and we'll see those puppies in about 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, mama's going to do it all. But I have found I'm a little too for that. I'm that helicopter mama that has to make sure everybody's there when my daughter comes in the living room. She's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, they're all still there. They're alive too. I'm like, yay, we didn't lose one.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know, I have been told, because I was on Facebook with my experience with litter where I lost two puppies. And I was told by some people, you should not share that stuff, Miranda. People are going to think down on you. You know, it doesn't matter what other people think. Shit happens to good people. The best breeders lose puppies. The best breeders lose their bitches. You can be the best that you can be and still have a loss. You know, people need, and this is what I told them, people need to hear that it's not easy, that you do it long enough, you do it often enough, you will experience a loss. You know, if I did not have the Trupanion insurance, I could have not have afforded a $13,000 vet bill. Realistically, most people can't. You know, as a breeder, as a fur mama, whatever you want to call it, if I put my bitch through having a litter of puppies, I am well prepared to take care of her if something happens to the best of my ability. And if you can't do that, dog, you know, if you, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but it's a reality. It's just how I feel. Like, I'm going to do everything that I can because she's given me so much. Respect your bitch and your dogs and take care of them, look after them, make sure they're okay, because they give us all their love in the world. You know, hey, there are everything for a short while, but we are their everything their entire life. And I just feel that it's an emotional connection for me. This is something that I'm very passionate about. And I feel that all breeders should be passionate and love their dogs because that's your dog, you know, and love their puppies and take care of those puppies like they're live little beings, because they are. Raise them the best that you can because they're going to a family. You know, I start potty training my puppies at 2.5 weeks old. Walk on a leash when they leave. They are crate trained. They're housebroken. They know basic commands. I start clicker training with them. They get baths. You can grind their nails. You can cut them. You can brush their teeth. I send home good puppies, and all it takes is work and dedication to a litter. And everyone can send home great puppies, you know? There's no reason why an 8-week-old puppy is sent home, or 9 or 10. I don't send my puppies home at 8 weeks. I wait 10 or 12. But there's no reason why that puppy can't already be started potty training and crate training so that it's an easy transition when they go to their new homes and sleep in a crate, you know? All too often, new puppy buyers are taking home puppies, and oh my God, these puppies never been in a crate, and they've never been held, and they've never been snuggled, and you can't cut their nails, and oh my God, how do we do this, you know? That's why getting to know a breeder and how they do things when choosing a puppy from somebody or choosing someone to be your breeder is very important, because the breeder sets the tone for that puppy's entire life. Human bonding is first done with the breeder, you know? So I guess that's all I got to say about that. I could talk about that all day long.
No, that's awesome. That was well said. Well said. So here's the last question, and this is kind of a goofy question, but I like to ask it. So if you had all the money, all the time, all the space in the world, what would be the second breed?
Oh, a German short hair pointer.
Wow, that was quick. Okay. How come?
I, I like make me want to go kill some birds, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't never shot a bird in my life, but I just love them dogs. Like, I love how they look. I love how they point. I've watched them on TikTok all the time. I've met some at dog shows that are phenomenal. I've met some at handling class that are very athletic. And that's about it. I love how they look. But see, I'm the type of person that I gotta fulfill my dog's needs, right? Breed traits. You buy a dog, you better know their breed
Yeah.
traits. You better understand how to work their breed traits so that they don't become crazy little assholes. So I don't hunt. So what the heck do I look like going and buying a German short hair pointer
Yeah.
and having it tear up everything because it's unfulfilled, I can't do that. But that is my second favorite breed.
That's awesome. No, I like them a lot too. I would go the other end. I like the German wire-haired pointers just a little bit more. But I do. I like both of those dogs a lot for
See, I
sure.
don't want nothing with wire long hair. Like
Yeah.
it's all got to be short for me. I'm not dealing with all that hair.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear that.